Hiya, kids and cadets. Welcome back to Tommy Time. Appreciate you coming out. Good to see all of you again. I hope you're doing well. So, I have this 2004 Toro Recycler with a Tecumseh 6.5. We've gone through this thing, changed every single part on this, it feels like. We had gone through the original carburetor, but it wasn't up to snuff. I cleaned it. It was in rough shape, really corroded inside. So I ordered another carb. This engine happens to be the LV195 Echo Alpha. So you got to make sure you're ordering the right carb because there's different carbs. This LV195 carb will fit a couple of models, but not all of them. So this thing came in with a bad traction control cable. I ordered one of those. It came in. Then I ordered another carb for it. What else have we done with this thing? It still has the original blade. So we had a bunch of scaly rust up here. I decided to go ballistic with this thing. So I sanded it down with some rough sandpaper. You can see all the rust pitting here. Put OSFO on it. Primed underside. OSFO'd underside. Primed underside. Same thing up here. OSFO and primed the top. Just kind of went over the Toro Recycler sticker here and painted over. What I wanted to do is get the front end ship shape because the transmission was bad. Once I put the new cable on, the transmission was slipping and grinding. I'll show you the transmission that came out of it. So I ended up buying 2 replacements. I'll discuss that. One ended up being bad out of the box. So I'm in the process of putting this thing back together. Then I'll finish up back here with the red paint. I want to do this section in the front, get this taken care of, and then I'll deal with that. So this model is the 20007. Like I said, it's a 2004, engines 03 according to the date code, made end of 03. They carry it over to 04 and put it on the deck at that time. So let me swing you around and show you the transmission. So when I said I have gone through this thing, I think this probably nothing I haven't messed with. The safety brake cable was fine. I didn't have to replace that. So this is kind of eating me up in time and parts. So we'll discuss what I bought, what I found out. So this is the transmission that came out of it. The pinion gear here is flattened out. What ended up happening is the bearing seal I found in the bottom of the transmission, so it exposed the bearings, play there in the bearings, of course, so that made this jump around, got worn out. When I took this thing apart, it was caked with dirt. I couldn't believe it. It was filled with stuff like that greasy dirt. Not a speck of lubrication on this thing. So I looked into what a pinion would cost, and I just decided to go with another one. I realized now I didn't see that wear there. That's all worn out. And on this side, there's wear on the axle. So I wouldn't be able to build that up. This thing is toast. So I got on Google, put in 20007 transmission, and these came in front wheel and rear wheel drive. Be sure when you're ordering these, you order the appropriate transmission. The rear wheel drive is slightly different in the specifications, and it's a little bit cheaper. So just don't see that it's $10 less and buy it and think it's going to work on the front. It's not. You got to buy the front only or the rear only. And the part number for the front is 106-3955. And that covers the model 2001, 2005, 3, 5, 7, 12, and I think up to 111, 20111. There's a ton of models in between these numbers that this front wheel drive transmission will fit. So that's that. So I bought 2 from a seller in Chino, California. Chino means China. So this was direct from China, and you can see the threads here. Somebody installed it. The one I installed on the machine had no threads. When you're reusing the screw, it threads itself, self-tapping bolts. So right away I saw this one, and it was wrapped in foam. The good one was wrapped in the original plastic, and it had a little cap here over the threads. This one did not. So that was something I noticed, and then I looked down here and it's been installed. I can see some scratches and some roughness here. So I go to turn it and nothing. This thing was locked up. So I thought, shit. The description said used, but in new working order. May come in used packaging. So I didn't care about that, but I wasn't happy that they sent me the bad transmission. So looking at the box, I see somebody had already sent these back to the shipper because they were no good. This one was locked up. They just put it in on the shelf. I bought it at a discount. They wanted $24.50 for it used, and I said I'd pay $22 each. They had 2 of them, so I paid $44 for 2. I got my money back. I said the one you sent me's locked up. It had been sent out and came back, and they said, "Oh, send us pictures." I thought, well, what the hell is that going to do? So I sent them pictures to make them happy. And I said, okay, can we refund you half the money? And I said, sure. So I got $22 back plus tax. So 1 out of 2 worked on this thing. Like I said, the other one was in the original bag, and it turned over freely. I think somebody might have bought it for the rear wheel, figured out that it wasn't going to fit, and sent it back to the shipper. So I suppose I could tear this thing down and see what the deal was. I tore the other one down because I'm always curious about the amount of grease, and they had like 2 fingerfuls of grease on the pinion gear. in on the drive gear. So I went ahead and slathered up both gears with more grease, and then put the cover back on. So when I took this thing apart, I was careful to make sure I put all the spacers and stuff down here on the tailgate in order as they came off. And then when I got the transmission off, I put everything back on the way it came off and put my C-clamps on. That way I had a reference point. So I did the same thing. Got my new one in place, put the right amount of spacers for the left side. I still have the right side to do. So that was that. So I'm surprised they didn't want this back. I guess they gave up after I bought it the second time. They don't want this thing back again. So probably I could reuse the bearing. Like I said, I showed you this one and it's shot. I could pop that new one out. So I think we're done over here. Let me bring you back over. So when I took the bad one off, I somehow dropped one of the halfway moons that go here. There's a little spring that goes in the hole and then the halfway moon. So I found a seller on AliExpress that sells a kit, and I thought I ordered the right one, but it came in and the gears are for another mower. This is the size gear on the 20007. So either they screwed up or I did. I gotta go back and check that out. So I'm reusing the gears. We'll discuss that. So they give you all new spacers, springs in the half moon. So I've already used one spring and a half moon. So I kind of reused what was on the machine because they weren't in bad shape. They weren't rusted through. I just cleaned them up and reused them. So I'll save these in case I need them on another machine. If they're beyond use, I've got a collection here. So when you're taking these gears off, they got them stamped left and right. You can use this on either side of the machine, but the left and right is for how you put it on. The right side of the machine is the other side of the machine. That's your right hand, right side. You're going to be behind the unit looking forward. So this is the left side of the unit here, closest to us. So when you're putting the gear on, you see the R and the L. So you put the R on the right side like that. L is facing you. Like I said, you can use these on either side, but don't put the right side facing you on the left side of the unit. It's backwards because these are machined to go over your half moon with the spring. The spring goes in the little hole, half moon, and that allows the gear to rotate backwards and catch itself in the forward position. So that's that on that. I seem to have misplaced one of my spacers. I got to go to my junk section. This side is here. I found it. So I degrease these tried to bleach them out. So this thing's going to look pretty good when it's done. I mean, the paint job in the front's terrible, but this is a 2004 machine. Cleaned up the belt cover. Something like that. But you can see this is not looking the best. It would not pass Lawrence Carroll's acceptable mower deck. So I'm in the process over here putting this back. My adjuster is going to go on. I cleaned up the nuts and bolts. Then I'm going to look at the spacers on the old axle and put them back. So don't forget your little springs. Those go down in the hole. See if I can show you on the old one. There's no grease on the old one. Yeah, there's a little hole for your spring, and then you take your half moon and it goes right there. You kind of, I use a little pick and hold this down and then put the gear over because your half moon's going to want to push up. So I take a little pick with one hand, hold the half moon down, get my gear started, and once you get it started, just push it on. It's gonna stay. So you can see over here this spring stayed in place. When you're doing maintenance on the front end, take your spring out and clean out all the sand and crap in here and re-grease it. These things tend to get caked up with grease, and the spring won't want to spring up because it's so loaded down in there. So that's my project for today. I appreciate you coming out and checking out this junk. I'll put all the pertinent information down below. So I told you before I was going to do bearings because the bearings were shot. So I ended up popping a couple new bearings. I saved the old ones here. There was nothing left to them. I wanted to show you. You can see all the rust, but a ton of movement. I can actually see through the whole assembly here. That's how worn out it is. I can see the back side. Same for this. It's so shot. It's almost pulling itself apart. So yeah, these are cheap. These are cheap, known to go bad. Nobody oils these up or greases them up. They're sealed anyway. I don't think there'd be a way you could do it other than take this off and add some oil back there. There's a little space behind the bearings. Anyway, so that's what's happening. I appreciate you coming out, checking out this Toro turd 6.5. I'll do the front end and come over and do my final blast. So I've got this thing leaning on my garbage dumpster so I could have the front end raised up. So I did my work like that. Thought it'd be the safest approach. The handles resting on top of the garbage dumpster. Okay, you guys, appreciate you coming out. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please like and subscribe. If you want to email me, Tommy.time@Yahoo. Hopefully you're going to have a good day or having a good day. I'll throw something at you. Mañana. Adios, amigos. Tip your waitress and wait staff. Do it. Do it now.